Hi, everyone. Today in reading, we are going to focus on a skill called cause and effect. This can be a tricky skill, so we will probably work on it more than once together. And it does take a few days to feel more comfortable with it and confident. So listen today, get your thinking voice ready as we go through a story and learn our new skill. Here we go. I have an organizer here, a graphic organizer, just to get our minds ready. And there we go. It's showing you arrows because when we talk about cause and effect, something is causing something else to happen. So we're going to see this in our story that we worked on earlier this week, the soggy lunch. So let me zoom in for you on this. And there it is. I want to reread it to refresh your memory. So follow along or read it with me. A soggy lunch. I walked to the park to eat my lunch. The park is far away from my house, so I was tired when I got there. I sat down on a blanket on the grass. The sky got dark. It started to rain and I got wet. After it rained, I was still hungry. I wanted to eat my lunch. When I opened my lunch, it was wet too. I didn't care. I ate it anyway. And do you remember how we summarized this story? How we picked out just some important events and put it in order from the beginning, middle to the end? And when we talk about this story, there are some events that are causing other things to happen in this story. So I'm going to bring back my organizer and we are going to focus on this story with our cause and effect. When we're talking about the cause of an event, it's why it happened. And you can think of the word because. The effect, is what happened. That takes a little bit of thinking. The cause is why something happened, and the effect is what happened. So let's think back to our story. The park was far away from his house, and because the park was far away from his house, what happened? What happened to the character because the park was far away from his house? Let's look back in our story. There it is. The park is far away from my house, so I was tired when I got there. So, because the park is far away from his house, what happened? The boy was tired. Now we could turn this around. We could say the boy was tired. Why? Because the park was far away from his house.
Carlos?
Let's go to another one. It started to rain. So let's think it through. Because it started to rain, what happened? Because it started to rain, what happened? That one, we don't need to look back in the story. The boy got wet. The boy got wet. So I can read it two different ways. I can say, because it started to rain, the boy got wet. Or I can say, the boy got wet because it started to rain. Do you see how one event is causing something else to happen? Let's do one more. Let's start with the effect, the what. Well, what happened? He ate a wet lunch. That's my what. So I need to know why. Why did he eat a wet lunch? There might be two reasons why. What are you thinking? He ate a wet lunch. Let's look back in our story. Well, we could say, why did he eat a wet lunch? We could say, well, because it got wet from the rain, or we could even say because he was just so hungry, he ate it anyway. So let's go back to our organizer. The boy ate a wet lunch because it got wet from the rain and he was still hungry. All right, so let's read this back to us. He ate a wet lunch because it got wet from the rain and he was still hungry. So do you see how those go together? Do you see how one event causes another? That's what we need to think about when we practice this skill, cause and effect. This is a tough one, so we are going to have to continue to practice this skill together and by yourselves. But as you're reading today, see if you can see any events that are happening in your story. And is one event causing something else to happen? Remember to use this word because to help identify the cause. You did a great job today. Thanks for listening.